What up, Mike? So we're working with a student today on the court. She's here from Dallas, Texas, and we just started an hour and a half ago or so. So we're starting off working on her forehand. We're going to try to give you guys a little bit of behind-the-scenes look at our process working with her, which is something we haven't done before. Actually, this would be kind of a first for that. We've published tons and tons of stuff of actual coaching, but not really the behind the scenes. So, yeah, be interesting to see what we get out of it.
Like, I'm focusing so much on my swing that she forgets to move and use the rest of her body.
Right. Well, I think a lot of it's probably positioning based, meaning how much physical space she has to swing at the ball also.
You know, maybe I'm saying it differently. That's
okay.
What she said.
Okay, sorry.
In the sense that I'm thinking so much about my upper swing,
I'm
not getting in position to get away from the ball.
Sure. The way we do this is we had the student come in, we kind of do a full run through of their game, and the pros kind of watch as they hit their forehand, their backhand, their volleys, their serve, and then we each kind of take a stroke and kind of take the lead. We call it being the bus driver. Basically, just taking charge of the process for a stroke each. So Kevin's been working on her forehand for the last hour and a half or so, and she's making really good progress. It's going to be a great result for her. This is really different from a normal tennis lesson because it's super slow, super focused, really narrowly on one or two things, and because of that, we see really big. We were just looking at a side by side between what she just did and what she was doing 2 hours ago when we first started hitting balls. And she looks like a completely different player, literally between the two styles of execution. It just makes me really happy about what we're doing and how we're doing it and kind of the process that we're developing. And it's really fun to see Kevin and Megan and Kirby be a part of it, and all of us kind of learning how to do it better and better every time we have a student. So right now I'm basically just kind of supporting, kind of giving Kevin input here and there and helping with the filming with the iPad, which is a super critical part of the process. And at some points I'll kind of be in the driver's seat, but Kevin will be the forehand guy, probably for the rest of the morning. We'll see. Nice job. It's really good. Good execution. I think my favorite moment in there was probably about 10 reps ago. Megan fed you a relatively short ball. You moved in for it and kind of pushed it back. And on the next one, I could tell internally you were just reminding yourself to commit to the swing. And you made a really confident looking swing on the next one. That's really good to see that you're starting to trust it a little bit.
Yeah, I trust it.
That's good.
Will I do it? Yeah. I will. I mean, I think.
Well, whether or not you do or don't is a matter of training, just to be clear. You unquestionably, you understand it and you're able to execute it. There's also no question about that. The question is, will you put in the reps, the quality and the amount of reps at home where this becomes your new habit? Right. That's the question. Not a question of how badly you want to do the better one. It's a question of if you train yourself back at home to replace your old one with the new one. The hardest part about this is figuring out how much information to give the student. Too much information means overwhelm and they lose track of everything and they just go right back to whatever their habit is, which means they don't get better. And the other really tricky part is how quickly to progress the student. We start off just doing slow shadow swings and then slowly start to introduce a ball just by dropping it to them and then start to toss it to them. And now she's all the way back on the baseline, starting to do more of a real stroke. If we explain it and then just throw her on the baseline and have her start hitting balls, then she'll just go right back to her old habit. And so most of what I'm saying to Kevin is we're discussing should we go to the next progression yet? Should we give her a little bit more to think about? That's kind of the art in this process, is figuring out how to walk a really fine line between you want the student to feel like they're progressing, but if you give them too much or you increase the difficulty too quickly, then they just go right back to their normal habit, which means they don't get any better. And so we've kept everything extremely controlled And yet, if you think back over the last 2 hours, we've probably taken 8 or 10 different steps from the simplest, most controlled possible execution to now back on the baseline receiving a feed. And there's probably at least that many steps between where you are now and your husband crushing a forehand at you. And so it's a matter of being really disciplined and slowly increasing the difficulty. Because if we went from where you are right now and we were like, all right, here's a 100-mile-an-hour serve, you go right back to the old one. And so we'll be writing a plan for you to follow back at home to get to that point. The hardest part is for you to be patient and really disciplined about how you allow yourself to progress. And we record everything, so there's no like hiding or faking it or being like, oh yeah, you're doing great, because we show them after every however many reps, here's exactly what you just did, which is completely different than 99.99% of tennis lessons being taught, which seems insane. We're actually showing students what they're doing every step of the way, every single repetition. And that's a really critical part of this process, and a big reason why we're able to see big changes in a couple of hours.
If you notice on this one, where you're not moving as much, look how your body's turning. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you see how you're really,
My foot like
that's what I'm going to show you. But I just wanted you to have this picture of when you're stepping into the ball.
Everybody needs a vlog, Greg. It's 2018.
I get a vlog, you get a vlog. Look under your seats, everyone. It's a vlog.
Key principle to this process, and I think being successful here and any other avenue of life, like any other part of personal development or success or whatever, is just narrowness of focus. It'd be super easy for us to throw a whole bunch of stuff at her and then have her understand it, and it's good like knowledge, but she wouldn't possibly be able to actually do it correctly because she's trying to micromanage a bunch of different things at once. It's the same thing in just about anything else. And so for us, a big part of being successful is keeping her really narrowly focused. Really nice, Peggy.
Really nice.
Hi, Mike.
Magic Mike.
Mike.
Magic Mike.
I would
That's
love to see you
perfect.
do a spoof Magic Mike.
Oh, and have Mike
I will not,
dancing
you
like
personally, but-
Magic Mike.
You know what? I would. I would love to see. I would love to see this roof of a man dancing on a pole.
He can't hear
Wow.
you.
Yeah, he can actually. He's got an AirPod.
Yeah, I gave him my.
I love it.
Magic Westerner.
No,
Couldn't come
that's
up with
scary.
that.
Nobody wants to see that.
No,
Magic Mike.
I agree.
He's like,
Please
okay,
go.
so let's
Just danced on the pole.
dancing on a pole.
So that was our our morning session. When students come into town, they spend 2 days with us on the courts, and we break that into 4 sessions. So that was session 1. We went all the way through her forehand, which went really well. In the afternoon, we'll probably do backhand, and then tomorrow we'll probably do volleys and serves. Is usually the way we break it up, and not always. But we'll take a little break for lunch now, and then go back to work. Just finished up lunch. We're about to head back out onto the courts, probably move to her backhand. Then later tonight, after our session on the court, we'll go out to eat with her and then do it again tomorrow. So Mike, you'll stay home tomorrow, right? You got plenty of stuff to work with. Cool. That'll do it for shooting this week then. We'll see you guys next week.